You see here, I already have the 8-pin unhooked from the AMD 580. This is a system I had posted on Facebook before, but I took it off because it was giving me a fan error. So I put a different fan in the back here, so directly into the motherboard instead of all the fans just being run by the hub that's in the, on the other side of the motherboard tray. So now a fan is actually hooked to the motherboard. So, and like I was saying, this is a 1600X system. So if you watch the other video, you know where the video card is coming from that I'm putting in here. But I'm replacing the AMD. Nothing wrong with this. I actually have this up for sale too. I have a couple people interested in it now. Have it listed for $50, but that's a starting price. It is an 8 gig video card. It's a pretty decent card actually. That it's been fully cleaned. It isn't like you're like someone's getting a card that they just pulled out of the machine and is so dirty, never had new thermal paste. You've seen, I did a video of me, taking a card apart, cleaning it, and applying new thermal paste to it. So it's been cleaned, new thermal paste. You set this card over here. Hopefully it doesn't fall. But the card I'm putting in here is another card on a video that I took apart, fully cleaned it, and put it back together, And this is the one that was fixed, cleaned up, so it's good now. It still has a little plastic cover on here. This is the Nvidia GTX 980 Ti, way better than the 580. So this is, truly an upgrade, unlike my other one where I was like, this is supposed to be an upgrade. If you work on computers, you know what I mean. That you're building a system for a certain purpose, and you just needed hardware to meet that purpose. And then by that system, I overdid it, right? So now I'm putting the video card in. Lines up good. Let's put these screws in by hand first. And this should be a really good match for this card, this system here. So, this system still is kind of annoying. Because I got this board intentionally, because I thought I had the case lined up. Like someone had a case, supposedly the motherboard died, and stopped working in it. And then they use the rest of the stuff, like the power supply, hard drive, all that stuff besides the motherboard in the case, but the motherboard was supposed to be dead, right? But the case and the pictures were perfect. It looked amazing. So I went to Iowa City, and the guy was like, oh, it's in my garage. My son's there though. He'll come, when you get there, he'll come out and he'll show you the stuff. And the case was just like, the front was busted on it. There was no side panel. So I messaged him. I was like, you sent me pictures with the computer looking almost brand new. He's like, oh, them are the pictures of it when I got it new. So they're old pictures. But in the message, he said they're, that it was brand new pictures he just took of it. And he's like, oh, I thought it was way better shape than that because it was in the Dell original box. And so I was like, yeah, I'm not going to buy it because then I have to buy a new front panel and a side panel because it didn't have a side panel at all. They messaged me back saying, oh, I'm sorry, my son's friend had one of these and they just swapped the cases out. I was like, okay, that makes no sense. But yeah, as you can see, the new video card's in. Everything's set. What do I do with this side panel? Okay, here's the side panel. Right here, it's cleaned up pretty good. And you can see here, NVMe's down here, Wi-Fi's in here, 2 terabyte drive plus a 512 gig NVMe. And now it has a 980 Ti in it. See, let's put these screws in. Hopefully this video isn't going to be too long. I'm just posting this so people can watch this video and see the problem that I'm having now. It physically doesn't stop the machine from working. So I set this sideways. I have to go and plug this in. So it's coming. I'm giving this mouse pad if they want it. This OEM Dell mouse pad, so they can have something to start off with, obviously. And this keyboard, this is actually a pretty good keyboard. If you look on eBay on these, they sell for a good amount of money. Like I don't know if you can see the part number, but there's that. They usually sell for pretty high. And it has 2 USB ports in the back, the volume here, so it's actually a wheel. The media function keys here. It's rubber dome, but it does sound pretty decent. So you just plug this into the back through the USB port. Okay, now I gotta go on the other side and hook in the power cord. And then I need this adapter. So I'm gonna turn the switch off, make sure that's powered off before I plug this in. Okay. Now the side panel's pretty dusty. Okay, so keyboard's hooked in, power's hooked in, video's hooked into this monitor here, which this is going to be a whole setup. So it's going to be this monitor, this keyboard, this mouse, and the red mouse pad. So it's going to be kind of awkward because I need to hook this in to the USB port. Okay, so it should be good. These ports here on the very top, non-functional. What I did was I got the OEM one for this motherboard. You can see here. See if that's good enough. Oh, I can't even tell. Arm's not long enough. Okay, there you go. So this is like an adapter for a card reader that was in here before. I removed that and I put this in its place. This is original hookups for the front panel, the original USB ports and stuff for this board. So it has the one style jack for headphone and mic, a Type-C plug, 2 USB 3.0s right here, and 2 2.0s, and a card reader. And yeah, it looks close. Here's a little blank drive. So card reader goes in, works. Okay, so I turn the power switch on, and I'll lower this. Let's see if I can get this lower without twisting. Why is it twisting? Oh, because the freaking thing is off whack. Okay. Ah, baby, that kind of hurt your ears, didn't it? So, you can see here, it's up and running. I'll take this off too to get a better idea. The power button still works, so all you do is hit the power button. This should detect automatically. So just take this off. So then it pulls this up. After getting all the hub pieces for the front and the audio, before I'd get a fan error. When I replaced the fan error, it was telling me the headphone jack wasn't hooked in. Now this code is for the power button, which you just seen me turn it on. And thumb in the way. You can barely see. Right here is lit up. It says cyber power. This is a button, the power button light here. You know, the power light here. And then the one that's lit up barely right here is the hard drive. So them are both hooked in and working. So you have to, I don't know if I can even get down there with it. Where'd it go? Okay. So you hit that and you're fine. Nothing after that. That's crazy as ever why Dell would do that. Saying, oh, we're gonna make everything kind of standard in this board, but if it's not hooked in to what we think is the right parts, you're gonna get this, and everything's working. Like, okay, so yeah, I should have hooked a different mouse in. Like, I can't move it, but like easily one way. Like, okay, so I delete. So here is the CPU. Ryzen 5 1600X, 6 cores, 12 threads. Here's the 8 gigs of RAM. Here is it. It says right there, NVMe SSD is a 512. Okay, and here is the 2 terabyte hard drive. And here is the Nvidia 980 Ti. 6 gig video card. And you can see the Wi-Fi's here. Oh, this is so annoying because it's like, then you can obviously see there's Bluetooth there. And this is running Windows 10. I don't know why that just opened. It's annoying. So it is running Windows 10 Home, 64-bit. I have Unigine Heaven right here on the computer. So you can see that start up and run. Okay, while that's loading this thing, which kind of takes a while. Okay, there you go. You can see right now in that upper corner, what was it set on for quality? Ultra. Right here in the corner, you can see it 120, 100. It went up to 160, but it was saying 120 FPS. I think on the benchmark it gets about, I actually don't remember now. But yeah, you can see it's running. It's not artifacting. The screen looks really nice. So I'm gonna have this computer listed at 300. I think it's a good deal, even that you have to hit OK to get it started, because that's the only time it's going to do it is when you do a restart or you turn it on at first. There is the it's a Rave Spire cooler, so it's a better cooler than you would normally get with this CPU. So it has RGB in it, tempered glass on the side. Like I said, here is a better close-up of what I mean. These are all functioning. This is your audio. Headphone is for your headphone, and mic is in one, so that works. Here's a Type-C plug here. Here's 2 USB 3.0s. Here's the USB 2s and a card reader. The Blu-ray drive does work too. So I did install DLC player. Only thing that these ports don't work because these ones are hooked up. So if it's your computer, you want it, you can unhook these here from the board and hook these ones in here. Otherwise, it's pretty good. It has 3 of these fans here. They're 120s. There's 2 in the top. They're exhausting air. And then 1 in the front, which is pulling air in from the front and going out. So it's pushing air into the case. You can see these louvers here too, like slits in here. You know, I did add, I'll go back up this way. All right, put you in this tripod. You can still see that's running. It's actually just run the benchmark, which takes a while. So So I have this kind of mesh here, you can see here. So I cut it down for the 2 spots, because you could put a fan in the bottom right here, which I didn't, and blow air up, you know, sucking air from right here, like right through here and into the case as an intake. But I didn't do that, but I did add a filter to that spot, and I added a filter because there is actually places for them. I didn't get it when I bought it, but so I cut them out. So it does have this little mesh filter style here for the power supply, and that extra spot in case it's pulling more air, which it should be. It has a 90 mil fan in the back that's hooked to the motherboard, so it's exhausting air. It has the 2 120 mils in the top, and then it just has a 120 mil in the front. So this one front is pushing air in, this is pushing air out. Obviously it's got more air's being pulled out of it than what's being forced into it. A 600, it does have a 600 watt Thermaltake power supply. I have run these systems with this kind of card off of like a 450 watt to 500 watt. That 600 watt is going to be fine for this system. Obviously, you know, you could technically upgrade from this video card to a newer video card that's using less power. But this system's pretty nice, you know, like right now it's setting at 10 of 26. Yeah, so it's gonna come with this. Only thing you really need for this system is headphones, like headphones or speakers. These speakers do not come. These are mine. They're kind of they're kind of managed in this little grommet things I made. So these speakers do not come. It's the tower, this monitor, keyboard, this mouse, and a brand new mouse pad. These are pretty cheap mouse pads, but you know, it's just to start out. Maybe you have a keyboard and mouse. Yeah, the price I could go down without this stuff, but it's not going to be a huge amount. This is a true 24-inch monitor. Like I find if you see a monitor and it advertises that it's a 24-inch, you go to measure it. How you measure it is from one in this corner to like this corner, this corner, this corner. They'll actually say it's like a 24-inch, right? But when you're measuring it and you look into the specs more, it actually will say it's a 23.5-inch screen. This is actually 24. It measures from here to this other corner, 24 inches. So it's a 1080p. No, this is actually not a 1080p screen. It's a 1920 by 1200. So it's actually I don't know how much bigger you would say that is. Instead of 1920 by 1080, it's 1200. So it's 1920 by 1200. So it is a higher resolution than like a normal 1080p screen. Like my screen is 1920 by 1080. That's the standard for a 1080p monitor. This is still considered 1080p, but obviously, you know, you're getting a bigger field off of the screen, which is kind of nice, I guess. Not for sure what the dimensions are. 1920 this way and then 1080p this way, but this is a 1200. So it's, like I said, 19. Oh, I can't even think. But yeah, it's a higher resolution than normal. I'll take this off, right? So you can see the numbers closer. This isn't too bad of a video for length. So yeah, as you can see here, so the FPS is 140.3. The score was 3,534. Minimum FPS is 31.7. Max was 267.2. And then you can see the build for this one here. And then it's got the Ryzen 5 1600X processor. So 6 cores, 12 thread CPU. And you can see the Nvidia GeForce GTX 980 Ti. There's that. I don't know why these always say 4 gigs. If anyone knows why that always says 4 gigs, like, maybe this is out of date. The benchmark's out of date. I don't know, but they all say 4 gigs. Like even my 16 gig card I have shows 4. 4 gig cards I have say 4, but if it has 2 gigs, it shows 2 gigs. But then you can see it's in DirectX 11, and then here's what I mean by the size of the screen. So it's 1920 by 1200 full screen. It says preset custom quality ultra. That's ultra quality. So yeah, there's the benchmark. It run the whole benchmark, and even on my camera the screen looks pretty good. I have to see what it does in the video, but a quick summary. So the system will come with this 24-inch monitor that is a 1920 by 1200. This keyboard and this mouse and this tower. And the tower has you seen earlier, I told you that earlier, so there's no reason to explain that again. Here's all the hookups for it. Here, the Blu-ray drive all works, power button works, fans, everything works in it. And you can see it's still running it now. Yeah, it's pretty decent. It's not loud at all. Everything looks good in it. Like the GeForce GTX lights up. The fans, doing this RGB thing. But yeah, pretty good system. I'm gonna list it for $300. Hopefully getting close to $300 for it, for the whole system. Obviously, if you don't need a monitor, keyboard, and mouse, it will be lower. But yeah, I'm not gonna do my normal thing and try to do a quick sell. I'm gonna set on this until I actually kind of get close to what I need out of it, and then sell it. Another thing I was thinking of is selling this other system and keeping this one, because this was actually this right here is actually the performance I was looking for my older games. They're not really serious older, like Tomb Raider, Shadow of Tomb Raider, Division 2. I just played, didn't mean to, but I played the whole thing for Alan Wake, the remake. Not the newest, but the remake. I played that. Them are the kind of games I play. Like, I play Fortnite, but I played the For the World. So yeah, certain games like that. And now I'm still playing Borderlands 3, and I'm recording that. I had like 17 hours, more than maybe 15 to 17 hours in that game. And then I stopped recording that, and I went over to Metro Exodus, right? Metro Exodus, I think it's called. Yeah, but I've been playing that so far. Them are all the games I play. This system right here would play all the games that I'm wanting to play right now, right? And then the higher intensive games that need more horsepower, I can just play them on my main system, which is way better than this, and the system with the 3060 Ti. So this would do perfect for what I was intending on doing. Like, for the games I want to play, this system would be perfectly fine. Even some of the other games, even newer games, will run perfectly fine on this system. So yeah, it's, if I list the other system, it's going to be whatever one sells first. If the higher end system sells first, then I'll keep this. This one sells first, then I'll keep the higher end system. But that system's way like overkill from what I wanted. If you work on computers, you know what I mean by should have been a downgrade for that other computer. I'll go over it at the end because we're at the end of this video. When you work on computers, right, and you get a lot of parts, and you're like, I'm gonna keep this part, right? Like, originally that system started out with, I was gonna downgrade the use for that, right? So I was gonna do it as a X99 system. but then I couldn't get my hands on a board that I liked. I don't want one from AliExpress. I want a decent board, so it would have that 6-core 12-thread CPU. That's a 5820K, 16 gigs of RAM, probably a 512 gig NVMe SSD, and like a 2 terabyte drive or something like that for that system. And then this 980 Ti was going to be in that. But then I was like, oh, the time I do that, I could just buy a motherboard CPU. Yeah, it'd be like an i3 or something, but in performance wise, I could get the same performance for about the price I'd pay for a good motherboard for this. So I could just buy lower end parts, just build a whole system. Then I got my hands on this CPU here, the 1600X. No, I got my hands on the 3900X. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna build a system around that. And then the 980 Ti would definitely, I can definitely get all the uses out of the 980 Ti, having that on that system. So I was like, then when I got that, I was like, that's kind of a shame. I got a 3900X, that's 12 cores, 24 threads, 32 gigs of RAM in it, 512 gig NVMe SSD, 12 terabyte hard drive, 850 watt power supply. I like the case. I think it's a really nice case. It's a fractal design. I'm not for sure what it's called, but it's a silent edition. You know, 2 140mm fans in the front and the 120 in the back. You know, I was like, well, that seems like a waste to just have a 980 Ti in here. So just get my hand, if I can get like like a 3060 Ti, it would work perfect. That'd be what I want. But they got it, and it's like, you know, I'm thinking to myself, this is supposed to be a downgrade from a system you sold. You sold that other system to finish the other build that was a downgrade, but then you went over the top on it, you know? You went way over what you needed to do, because now it's back. It's actually better than the system I sold. So like most of the games I play, Nvidia scales them up to 4K. Even that I have a 1080p screen, it sends a native screen, you know, 1080p out, but it scales it up to 4K. So most of the games I'm playing these older games on that system are actually running at 4K on a 1080p screen. It looks really good, you know, but that wasn't the purpose of that system. So if you work on them all the time and you buy parts, you know what I mean. Like there's no way. It's like, I get this, you could be perfectly happy with your system, then you buy another system, like, hey, that CPU is just a little bit faster than mine, so I'm going to take that CPU, put it in my computer, put my CPU in that other computer that's going to go for sale. Then you buy another computer, it's like, oh, that power supply is better than mine, swap the power supplies out. Then the time you're done, instead of having an entry level, mid-range, a low budget computer, you're having a higher end system. Time you're done, it's like you replaced everything in it. You built it for a purpose, but then in the process of buying other computers, you got better parts, so you used the better parts for yourself and sold the other stuff that originally was in your system. So you know, if you do work on computers a lot and you get a lot of computer parts, that's how it works out. It's like you always, if you got a better part than what's in your system, you're going to want to put that in your system and sell your old one off instead of selling a better one off. If you get, you know what I mean. If you work on computers, you know what I mean. It's always that. It's like, oh, that CPU is better than mine. That RAM's better than mine. The power supply is better than mine. Oh, that case is better than mine. Ooh, that, you know, that RAM, that storage, whatever. You want to keep the better parts that you have coming into you for your system that you use every day. And then you have, like, I you know, like the other system I had. I did a motherboard that started out, should have been an i3. Well, first it was an AMD, and then, well, I won't get into that on this video. I'm going to keep this around the 30-minute mark. But as you can see, the system is running. It's been sitting here running for a good amount of time. no issues besides it thinks something's wrong with the power button, but you did see me turn it on with the power button. So that system is perfectly fine. It's just the way Dell is operated. So yeah, you can see Unigen Heaven's up and running. It ran the whole test, and this is a 1920 by 1200 screen. So thank you for watching. You know, if you know anything about the power button thing, let me know. But I couldn't really find anything on it. The buttons are all hooked up. So it's over the 30-minute mark, but thank you for watching. Comment at the bottom, you know, like, yeah, that's a pretty decent system. If you live locally and you bought this system, thank you. You know, I try to give you a good deal on it. That's the end of the video. Thank you for watching.